brought to you by wonderful Florida oranges and grapefruit. Fresh frozen concentrate, canned full strength, and chilled orange juice. All with the natural vitamin C you need every day. And now, let's all play What's My Line?
And now let's meet our award-winning panel of What's My Line. First, the delightful star of stage and television, Miss Arlene Francis.
And now a gentleman who has endeared himself to millions as that Western fellow Paladin in Have Gun Will Travel, and has acquired a whole new audience because of his marvelous dramatic performance on Monday night in the Faulkner drama, Mr. Richard Boone.
Thank you, Arlene. And now here is the charming, talented, and most versatile actress, Miss Betty White.
And there's only one thing that's more fun than reading the surfboard column in this week's magazine, and that's sitting next to the author himself, who writes under the name of Bennett Cerf.
Thank you, Betty. We miss our Dorothy. We hope she may get back next week. Meanwhile, here's our dazzlingly brilliant, if slightly misleading, John Charles Daly.
I knew that rest at Jamaica would do Bennett a lot of good. Imagine him calling me dazzling and brilliant all in one evening. It's too much. It's nice to have an old colleague of mine, Dick Boone. Many years ago once, I tried a little bit of acting, and if it hadn't been for such splendid actors and such talented people as Dick Boone, I'd probably have been run out of the country. We did Front Page together briefly. Do you remember it, Richard?
Very well, and that's not true, John. You were excellent.
Yes, I know. Yeah.
It was a bitter, sardonic man, and typecasting, if ever I saw it.
I played a newspaper editor, and I thought I was pretty good, but I found some kinescopes about 5 years later. Well, we all have those experiences. And, Miss Betty, it's nice to have you back with us again.
Thank you, John.
All this pleasant badinage to the contrary notwithstanding, we shall try to bust all your heads in tonight. We'll also have a famous mystery guest before the panel a little bit later in the show, and we'll meet our first challenger after this word. And now let's meet our first contestant. Will you come in and sign in, please? Right there. Richard Hanley. Right, sir? Where are you from, Mr. Hanley?
Los Angeles.
You're from Los Angeles?
I'm in New York now.
You're living in New York, but you're from Los Angeles. May I present our panel? Mr. Hanley, will you join me over here? Do you know how we keep score, Mr. Hanley? In that event, we'll let this good, enthusiastic audience in our theater and those who are viewing at home know exactly what your line is. All right, panel, Mr. Hanley is salaried, and let's begin the general questioning with Arlene Francis.
You work for a profit-making organization, Mr. Hanley?
There's the understatement.
Oh, crazy. You get a lot of money for it, huh? Does money change hands directly with you in your business, Mr. Hanley?
That's 1 down and 9 to go. Mr. Boone.
Do you deal in services rather than with a product? You do deal with services. Do people come to you for the service?
Sometimes.
You could also perform your service by going to them?
Yes.
Do you touch the people for whom you perform the service?
No.
2 down and 8 to go. Miss White.
Can both men and women avail themselves of your services, Mr. Hanley? Can children avail themselves of your services?
Not very well. Or should they?
Well, I think, with your permission, to be completely fair, it is not impossible that it would happen, but it's unlikely, so you may proceed, Miss White.
If you, do you carry anything with you in the way of special equipment when you go to them, for example?
No.
No, I wouldn't think so. 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Hanley, the laughter of the audience makes me wonder whether you have anything whatever to do with betting of any kind.
No.
No.
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work indoors, Mr. Hanley?
Sometimes.
You can do it both ways?
Yes.
That's nice. Is there anything in what you do that is associated in any way with the entertainment business?
Yes.
Are you, rather than a performer, a man behind the scenes?
That's right.
Do you have anything to do with the television industry?
No.
5 down and 5 to go, Mr. Boone.
Does your work concern itself with the appearance of the people for whom you render the service?
No.
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Miss White.
Does your work have anything to do with money? Actually, money itself?
No, not necessarily.
No, I wouldn't think so, Miss Betty. We'd mislead you so if we gave you an affirmative answer there that you'd dislike me for the rest of the week, and I couldn't stand that, so no. 7 down and 3 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Mr. Hanley, we've eliminated television.
Yes.
But we did, yes, we did. But it is the entertainment industry.
Yes.
Is it either legitimate theater or motion pictures that you're connected with?
Let's on our
Now, what did you say that you're connected with?
Either the legitimate theater, well, that he's involved with.
That he's involved
Or motion pictures.
Yes.
motion picture.
Yeah, just say it.
Oh, did you? Thank you, Mr. Hanley. Is it motion pictures?
Yes.
Very good, Mr. Cerf.
It was very nice of you. I would have had a guess.
And that's a profit-making organization.
Not these days.
You haven't been home lately.
Mr. Hanley, have you got anything, are you concerned in any way with this current strike of the actors and writers?
No.
No. That's 8 down and 2 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you have anything to do with the promotion of a motion picture?
No.
9 down and 1 to go, Mr. Boone.
Are you concerned with the design of a motion picture?
No.
No. 10 down and no more to go.
Has he got something to do with Dick Boone's show?
That's a profit-making organization.
Bennett, I wish it had been your turn to
Was
ask the
wrong
question
anyway.
because it's wrong. Now, actually, this was very tricky, and I thought for a minute you might begin to get in the general direction. Mr. Hanley is Elizabeth Taylor's secretary and has been for some years. Which was why you got that wonderful laugh about the profit-making organization, you see.
I'd like to hear about the favorite letter that you've taken, Mr. Hanley.
I wish I could tell you, Miss Francis.
Now, this, three things: secretaries, lawyers, and clergymen. Can't talk. Can't talk at all.
You're so right.
Mr. Hanley, thank you. It's been fun having you with us, and what's my line? Will you say good night to the family? Well, it was a pleasure, panel. Start the program this way. Let's see what we can't... Nice having you here, Dick, and those old years of friendship mean a lot.
As a matter of fact, John...
I hope you have your bandages with you tonight.
As a matter of fact, Mr. Hanley did have something to do with the strike because Elizabeth Taylor had to stop making Butterfield 8 because of the strike, and therefore Mr. Hanley is no longer in New York with her.
And not only that, but if he's Miss Taylor's secretary, he has something to do with money.
We have a revolt on our hands. I hope Mr. Cerf is comforted by the extension of this tenuous little argument that he threw out. And, Miss White, do you really think Elizabeth Taylor's secretary would ever have to handle money?
No.
No. Check? Money never. All right, let's see what we can do with another challenger. Will you come in and sign in, please? Carolyn? Carolyn Heron, is that right, ma'am? Is it Miss or Mrs. Heron?
No.
Miss Heron, and where are you from?
Chicago, Illinois.
Chicago, Illinois. It's nice. You should have at least a few relatives in the house when it's a big city, Chicago. Well, it's nice. Don't be at all scared, because nothing can happen here except the scenery falls down once in a while. Miss Herron, may I present the panel? Miss Herron, will you join me over here, please? Miss Herron, do you know how we keep score on what's going on?
Well, then, if you know how we keep score, all I have to do is try to remember what we do next, something I didn't do last week. Now, what is it we do next? Oh, yes, we'll let the folks at home and our friends in the audience know exactly what your line is. All right, panel. We will tell you that Miss Herron is salaried. And let's begin the general questioning with Bennett Cerf.
Miss Herron, don't be scared of Daly. He's all right. Miss Herron, is there a product involved with what you do?
No.
None?
That's 1 down and 9 to go, Miss Francis.
Do you work for a non-profit organization, Miss Herron?
Yes.
A non-profit organization.
No, I don't.
That's 2 down and 8 to go,
Oh,
Mr.
all
Boone.
Am I correct in assuming, then, that you deal in a service of some kind?
Yes, sir.
Do you perform the service for both men and women?
Yes, sir.
Do the... I'm waiting for my laugh interpreter on my right to tell me what that means. Do the men and women for whom you perform this service come to you?
No.
Let me have a small consultation.
Naturally.
Dick, we want to be fair. I would say here that while the answer is fundamentally correct in terms of the service that is provided, it would be fair to assume that initially some contact has to be made, and that contact would be made by the people who wish the service. So to that degree, we'll give you a qualified yes.
Well, thank you very much. I certainly am much more confused than I was before you started that, but I accept the yes gratefully.
You should have seen him the night on front page when I pushed the pie in his face.
Well, at least I had something left to eat. I'm sitting here with egg now, and I can't reach it. I didn't hear it. Do the people... Now, you perform services for people who may possibly come to you. Ordinarily, they do not. Do you touch these people in performing your service?
No.
3 down and 7 to go, Miss White.
Miss Herron, am I correct in assuming that you have nothing to do with birds?
Yes, you're correct in assuming I have nothing.
In other words, if someone calls you up and or, I'm not saying this is exactly, but someone who makes the contact and makes an appointment for your service, then you could go to them. Am I correct in assuming that? And when you went to them, would you work indoors or outdoors? Would you work indoors?
Yes, I would work.
Would you go to these people's homes?
Yes, I would.
Do you bring anything with you when you go to their homes?
Yes, I would.
Do you wear anything other than your ordinary street clothes while you're performing this service?
Other than yes.
And we have established that you do not touch the people in any way. Is that correct?
Yes, that is.
And that's not easy. Is this in a capacity of advisor in any way?
I would think we would have to agree there's some element of counsel involved in terms of at least a counseling as to the degree and nature of service that has to be delivered, wouldn't you say?
Right, yes.
Is this, in any sense, an analysis of any kind?
Well, we'd have to do a little analyzing if we were going to give any advice. At least we'd feel that we have to.
If, do you deal with married people more than you deal with single people?
I think it would be fair to say that in normal terms, Miss Herron would deal with more married people than single people. Yes.
Well, if she has nothing to do with birds, does she have anything to do with babies?
No.
4 down and 6 to go,
checking.
Mr. Cerf.
Miss Heron, when you go to these people's houses, do you fix something? I don't mean the way you fix it. TV
Well, let me
program.
say this, ma'am. I will, with Miss Heron's permission, consider that you're using the verb fix here colloquially in the...
I'm meaning repair or do something like it might be done by a plumber or a carpenter.
Oh, well, fine. Now that you've explained it,
Now that I
that
have
makes
a
it
no.
much
Now I get
easier to
my
give
no.
you a no. Thank you very much. That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss Francis.
Is what you wear something that is so recognizable that if I saw you in it, I would know the job that you do?
No.
6 down and 4 to go, Mr. Boone.
Would you say that your work is mechanical, that mechanics are involved?
Sometimes I wish I'd gone to law school. Dick, I think once again I have to say to you that we must admit that there are certain instruments which might be described as necessary and reasonable for use here that would have a mechanical character to them, yes.
Could we have a contest?
You may have one 30-second contest.
Maybe she does something like plumbing or painting.
No, he eliminated
And a piano,
I was out across the street thinking.
a piano tuner or something like that would be for single people, too, though.
Yeah, but more with married people who have homes and pianos.
I'm sorry, the conference was absolutely uncalled for. I made a terrible gaffe.
All right, Richard.
Really, Arlene, now that she's eliminated all the possibilities, pass.
You pass. Good.
I wish I could pass to her.
I'm not going to watch your show anymore. Do you have a tool chest, a tool kit when you go to when you go to these people's homes? Do you carry anything like that?
Specifically a tool chest or a tool kit?
Instrument, for example, only as an example, like a piano tuner might.
Like carry a piano, yes. I
If this is supposed to be symbolic of something to work with, we'll give you a yes.
Would it help me to know what room you generally work in when you go to these people's homes?
Would it help you to know what room?
I don't think so. That makes it 7 down and 3 to go. I'm going to give you 1 more minute, Mr. Cerf.
Do you dispose of something when you're in the house, Miss Heron? Is something put out of the house?
Yes.
Would it be something that might be, at least have been recently alive?
Yes.
Is it something that when it is alive is reasonably objectionable to the people in whose house it would be found?
Yes.
Would it be some kind of vermin?
Yes.
Well, are you a lady exterminator?
Yes! Well, congratulations, Bennett. Actually, Miss Heron is with the Garfield Sanitation Service, and she works at it real hard and works as her dad's assistant, don't you? But you know, we had so much fun. We'll flip the rest of those anyway, and thank you for being our guest. We had a grand time having you with us. Did you say good night? We'll meet tonight's mystery guest in just a moment, but first, here is a word from our sponsor. Now we come to the special feature of our program, the appearance of our mystery celebrity, for which my friends on the panel must, as always, be blindfolded. Are the blindfolds all in place, panel?
Yes, sir.
Good. Will you come in, mystery challenger, and sign in, please? as you know, panelists of our mystery challenger, we go to a different form of questioning. You ask one question at a time, in turn, moving clockwise, and we'll begin with Dick Boone.
Well, I'm certainly correct in assuming that this is a public figure. Are you in the entertainment world?
Yep.
Miss White.
Are you primarily associated with the theater?
Nope.
1 down and 9 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Are you primarily associated with the world of athletics?
Nope.
2 down and 8 to go, Miss Francis.
Are you associated with the world of television?
Yep.
Mr. Boone.
Do you have a show in which you appear regularly on television?
Yep.
Miss White.
Are you a comedian?
No.
That's 3 down and 7 to go, Mr. Cerf.
Do you ever use guns and stagecoaches and Indians? No?
4 down and 6 to go, Miss Francis.
Was the ha-ah a different voice from the yup or the nope?
Yep.
Are you 2 men?
Nope.
That's 5 down and 5 to go, Miss White.
Was that a yup or a nope?
That was a nup.
A nope.
Well,
Are you married, the two of you?
Yep.
Mr. Cerf.
Yeah, I'm married. Is the show a Mr. and Mrs. show? Is it known as a Mr. and Mrs. show?
No.
Now, there, we give you a no, 6 down and 4 to go, but this is to say that it is not directly titled Mr. and Mrs. Murgatroyd.
If it were the Nelsons, that couldn't be...
So that would be Miss Francis next.
I missed one tonight. Did you rule out comedy? You did.
Yes, the comedy was ruled out.
Would you consider that what you do is of a more serious vein?
No.
Well, I think just to save a lot of confusion, with your permission, we'll leave that answer as a qualified no.
oh, thanks a
Maybe
whole
even
bunch.
a yes. Mr. Boone.
Yeah. Is your show on the Columbia Broadcasting System?
No.
That's 7 down and 3 to go, Miss White.
Do you sing at all?
Oh, no.
8 down and 2 to go, Mr. Cerf.
I gather from that neither of you sing. May we assume?
Yeah, well, you can assume that, yes. Yeah, that's right. You may assume that.
Is it a situation show that you do, then?
No.
That's 9 down and 1 to go, Miss Francis.
Is it possible that it takes 2 to tango with you two? Arthur Murray and Madam Murray?
Yes. I must say this, that when I came to the theater tonight, this was as much a surprise for me as it was for you, because I knew that an old friend and a wonderful man named Bob Hope was going to take over your weekly show for 2 weeks, and I thought they'd be off on a long vacation. And got here tonight and found out that they weren't leaving until tomorrow, so they joined us.
Well,
I thought they'd be in the Oak Room at the Plaza. They always are.
no, the show we're going to have is a sort of a roast to Bob Hope, and there'll be 14 stars of his friends to roast him. And, John, you've been nice to call attention to our show, which is on Tuesday, and I'd like to ask a question. Do you mind if I take off my mask?
No, sir.
Okay.
Oh, what a great man! Well, I must say that it's a great tribute to you both that you turn your program for 2 weeks over to Bob Hope and a roasting of Bob Hope, who in turn is another very great gentleman, because this is all for Fight for Sight. All of the increment that comes to Bob is going to go to this charity.
$100,000.
$100,000. Wonderful. Wish you both a wonderful vacation now.
Thank you,
and thanks so much for being our guest.
Darling,
That's all.
Thank you, Bob. that you've done very well tonight, panel, and we'll all be back after this word from our sponsor. We're a wee bit late tonight, so I will say the good nights for everybody with a thank you to Miss Betty White and to my old friend Dick Boone for being with us. Next week we will not be here. CBS is presenting a spectacular, and we are preempted, but we'll be back the following week, and I think Miss Dorothy will be with us then. Thanks for being with us on What's My Line, and good night.